What lie were you led to believe until growing up? That cleaning the litter box was an adult-only activity normally, but I was just so mature for my age I was allowed the honor of scooping poop. My mom was smart. My aunt and uncle told us that kids weren't allowed in Blockbuster after 8 p.m. because my sister and I could never decide on a movie. What all made it believable was one time we saw a younger kid getting arrested outside the store. My uncle told us it was because it was after 8 p.m. Took way too long for me to catch on. That when my aunt went skydiving she brought me back a piece of a cloud. It was just a cotton ball pulled apart and sitting in a baggie. That sex education would involve actually having sex in front of the rest of the class. I was bloody nervous entering those lessons. That people could flush themselves down the toilet. Once when I was 4 I had annoyed my mom enough that she said alright I guess I'm gonna go flush myself. I ran into the bathroom after her, only to find the toilet flushing and her gone. She was laughing behind the shower curtain as I cried into the toilet. When I was about 10 my grandfather took me fishing. Being a 10-year-old I caught nothing but weeds. I asked him if we could cook the weeds, which he replied of course. I go back to their house and watch TV while I wait for my delicacy pond weeds. Fast forward 5 years and I'm a high school freeman. One day the cafeteria served green beans. I thought they were lake weeds, so I bet my friend $10 that they were from a lake. I found out that I didn't eat pond weeds. My grandmother had thrown out the weeds and cooked a can of green beans. I also lost $10. For 5 years I thought green beans were actually pond weeds. That your elementary school actually had a detailed permanent record that would haunt you for life. When I asked my dad why Asian people had umbrellas open when it was sunny out, he told me it's because they have a terrific sense of sarcasm and they do it for laughs. I grew up believing the president, Bush, called my dad every day to make sure his watch was set correctly. I told my teacher this. *FACEPALM**. My dad also taught Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan everything they know. I was told that girls grew hair under their boobs, like armpits. I didn't realize my grandmother was dying of ovarian cancer until she did. Everybody just told me she had a fever and I wasn't able to spot the signs like missing hair because I didn't know any better. I was 8. I was devastated. At this point I get why my parents lied to me, but I still don't know whether they should have. It was a nasty shock. That my mum's shoebox of weed that I found under her bed was actually potpourri that had gone bad, and yet she never threw it away. One day, when I woke up, my pet rabbit was mysteriously taken to a farm where he has more friends. I realized years later that he must have died for some reason and wasn't brought to a farm where he's hopping around with other bunnies. I was told that A. if an ice cream truck plays its music they have run out of ice cream. So only ever got an ice cream at shows when they were parked up. B. jumper was a swear word and that I wasn't to say it. For context, my parents heard me saying for quickly, so it sounded like a swear word. My dad said I know what you are doing and it's okay, but I never ever want to hear you say jumper. They got my friend's parents' family, everyone in on it. That lasted about a year. My dad told me that when I turned 10 the gypsies would knock on the door and take me away for a year to teach me about their way of life. I know I was unsure he was telling the truth, but he went so all in on the lie over the months preceding my 10th birthday that I absolutely shat myself every time there was a knock on the door. I'm not 100% sure it was my 10th birthday, but definitely plus dash 2 years. I had a stuffed squirrel, taxidermy, on my wall when I was a kid. My dad said I could not touch it because it was toxic if I got it on my hands. I have always been very careful when I have moved it around and washed my hands real good unless I used gloves. When I was 28 I learned that he said it so I wouldn't ruin it by petting it. Still washes my hands after moving it. When I went to a camp my mum agreed to take care of my hamster. Hamsty was the best cuddliest creature and enjoyed playing with me. When I came back Hamsty was a wild asshole, biting my hand. Because my mum Didn't play enough with him. He went feral. Turned out he didn't go feral after all. Our family dog ate hamster, and mum replaced him with identical hamster. Mom saw I was visiting porn sites via the web history. I was pretty young. She told me the next day that it's unrealistic. That's true. And that girls don't give blowjobs. That moths were the ghosts of butterflies. Cheers for that one, Dad. Edit. My apologies to any young ones both present and future that this tale may be recanted to. That said, it definitely got me into the habit of turning lights off. If you jerk off too much you'll go blind. This is a reason why I didn't start masturbating until I was almost 22. When I was but a wee lad, we helped Dad cut down trees. Big trees. He was always worried about which way they would tip, so he would pace out a length of rope, tied to a tall branch, and have all the kids pull as hard as we could to help the tree fall in the correct direction. While he worked the chainsaw, you sit on a throne of lies. He used rope so that he knew where all the kids were and paced it out so that even if the tree fell at us, we were far enough away to not get hurt. I was quite young, 5, and my uncle was babysitting my sister and my first lie was that they used some sort of liquid to make dirty diapers edible and that we had both been eating dirty diapers for years. Second, he told me about a great trick we were going to play where we would get my sister to go to bed early by having me run up and down the hallway with her until she became exhausted. We both laughed when our plan worked perfectly. Then, he excitedly told me I was going so fast that I should just keep going and see how many laps I could do on my own. I remember getting momentarily angry when I realized what had done, but I was falling asleep by then, so I couldn't do anything about it. Edit for clarity, my uncle told me a lie because he was obnoxious, as many are, and wanted to amuse himself. The lie was that my parents used to save money on food by using a solution to make dirty diapers edible. He explained that I used to eat those diapers as a baby. Right. It's goofy and not that funny, but I bet he never thought this many people would be discussing that he did this over 30 years later. You'll understand when you're an adult. I still don't understand, Mom. That my dad one day just died. No explanation as to why or how, just gone. I was 5 at the time and I didn't find out until years later when I took it upon myself to go to the police and ask how it happened. Not me but a friend. He is very well endowed in the nose area. As a young child he was bullied for size of his hooter and went crying to his dad. After explaining through tears that he hated the size of his schnoz, his dad proudly stated that he had a Viking's nose and that his ancestors were proud, strong Viking and that he should be proud of his nose. Cut to 20 years later, he is talking about how his ancestors were Vikings and how great he is because of this. After taking some stick he rings his dad for a bit of backup, only to be told it was all a lie to make him feel better. I have never seen an ex-Viking look so distraught in all my life. All from an older cousin that liked F***king with me growing up, that if you make eye contact with a Mexican man in Walmart he will kidnap you. An alligator lives in my great-grandma's basement. We live in Kai, no gators here. His penis was so long he had to have help from his brothers rolling it up like a hose every time he got done peeing. My grandpa's corpse is in the attic of my aunt's house. If I swear God will know, and hell kill my parents. The basic stuff. While working on the cars, or in his workshop, my dad would often initially turn the wrench the wrong way. He would look me in the eye and say sometimes you have to tighten them up a little before you can loosen them. A few years ago I said it to one of my own teenage boys while helping with his car. His response was, "Dad, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." For over 30 years I hadn't realized my dad was just covering up for the fact that he was turning the wrench the wrong way. Your favorite toy needs really specialized batteries that none of the local stores carry. That it was illegal to turn the lights on inside the car while my parents were driving. That if I swallow chewing gum it'll stay inside me forever. Okay mum, while not the smartest idea, it does actually get digested eventually. Edit. Technically it passes through the digestive system and not actually digested, as many people have pointed out. That my gran was 21 years old. My mother would never let me try to fix anything around the house. She always said I would just end up making it worse. Whether it was a water leak, a toilet clog, a broken doorknob, she wouldn't even give me a chance. Foolishly I believed her, until I was almost 20. We were tight on money, so she would never hire any professionals to fix anything. Our house had so many broken things that it was absurd. There were broken locks, broken appliances, squeaky cabinetry, clogged sinks. It was awful. One day I got fed up and decided to look into replacing a broken lock, and to my surprise they just sold door lock sets at Home Depot. I bought it and tinkered with it for several hours, and I ended up managing to replace the lock. I had no idea you could even think about messing with a lock without years of locksmith school or something. After that I began to look into how to fix other things and found out that most of it, while not easy, is totally within the realm of the average person to fix or replace. Last year my wife and I bought our first home, a hoarder den of your worst nightmares. Gutted it to the studs and redid everything ourselves. All those years of my life wasted thinking I couldn't do anything about home repair, and now I can put a place together almost from scratch. That adults had their ***T together. I always thought as a kid big people knew what was right and wrong and were more or less good, but then as I grew older I discovered how dumb everyone ***king is. I always thought my father left my mother because she was mentally ill and he couldn't deal. Turns out my grandfather basically told him to leave if he wanted to be happy. He didn't think my father would leave me too. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.